debate is LeBron versus Jordan, not LeBron's greatness. No one's bringing into question his greatness. Says a lot to me. I think that LeBron James, it's not his fault, but NBA rule changes had changed drastically from the bad boy Pistons to the New York Knicks with Anthony Mason and Charles Oakley and all of these guys and what have you. And so I just look at it from that perspective, and I think about what Michael Jordan had to endure because of the physicality of the game.
When it comes to basketball royalty, too many names have polluted the conversation. Names that don't belong. For years, people have tried to insert other legends into a debate that has never had room for more than two. The truth, according to Stephen A. Smith, is that the only real battle is between LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Smith makes it clear, calling LeBron the second greatest player of all time is not disrespect. When the throne belongs to Michael Jordan, it isn't about hating greatness. It's about recognizing that the bar Jordan set will never be reached again. This discussion, Smith insists, is not about diminishing LeBron's brilliance. It's about preserving the standard of what greatness truly means. In this breakdown, we'll dive into 12 fierce takes from Stephen A. Smith, each one sharpening the edges of this debate and reminding us why the argument has only two sides and only one true winner. If you're ready to hear the unfiltered truth, delivered boldly and unapologetically, then buckle up. And before we dive in, make sure to smash that like button and turn on notifications. Because here we tell it like it is. Smith opens the conversation by painting a vivid picture of what Michael Jordan endured just to reach the top. This is not about the rings. It's not even about the numbers. It's about the battles Jordan had to fight in the 1980s, when the NBA was a war zone of dynasties. The Philadelphia 76ers, led by Julius Erving and Moses Malone, were no joke. The Boston Celtics, with Larry Bird at the helm, were a fortress of relentless dominance. And the Showtime Lakers, powered by Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, turned winning into an art form. To rise above that chaos, Jordan had to sharpen every edge of his game, both mentally and physically. This was not the softer league many argue exists today. This was a battlefield of legends, a proving ground where Hall of Famers stacked banners and dared anyone to challenge them. For Jordan to emerge from that crucible and redefine what winning meant wasn't just impressive, it was otherworldly. Smith's point is simple. The road Jordan traveled matters. Greatness isn't built equally. Some players fight through fire, while others walk red carpets. Jordan bled through an era that would have devoured most players alive, and he still stood atop the mountain. That reality cannot be ignored.
I think about the road to prosperity that Michael Jordan had to travel. I think about what the 76ers were in the 80s, what Boston was in the 80s, what the Lakers were in the 80s.
In the very next breath, Stephen A. Smith digs even deeper into Michael Jordan's journey, long before the championships and the glory. It's one thing to dominate when the road ahead is clear, but it's another to claw your way to the top when the summit is already guarded by giants. Before the 1990s even began, Jordan had already been tormented by the Detroit Pistons, hunted by the Boston Celtics, and boxed in by a league where physicality wasn't just allowed, it was celebrated. So how did Jordan respond? He evolved. He didn't just add muscle. He hardened his mentality. He learned how to dismantle systems, how to dissect defenses, and most importantly, how to lead not just with dazzling stats, but with an unbreakable will. Smith reminds us that Jordan's early failures were never signs of weakness. They were the sharpening stones that forged a dynasty. And when the 1990s arrived, Jordan didn't simply win, he annihilated everyone in his path. 6 championships. 6 finals MVPs. 2 separate three-peats. But as Smith emphasizes, the jewelry isn't the most powerful part of the story. It's the climb itself. The climb through broken bones, bruised pride, and relentless opponents is what makes his ascension legendary. Jordan wasn't handed anything. He didn't benefit from a league softening around him. He took hits that would sideline stars today, and he kept coming. That kind of greatness, that relentless perseverance, is what separates immortals from mortals. Stephen A. delivers the reminder with fire. Pay attention to the road, because who you beat to get there matters. And Jordan's path, he says, was nothing short of a march through hell.
The list just goes on and on. No matter who you put up there, I got LeBron ahead of all of them.
Stephen A. shines a giant spotlight on something too many fans overlook: the environment. The NBA that Michael Jordan dominated was nothing short of a gladiator pit compared to what LeBron James has experienced. The rules were different. The pain was real. Back then, the league allowed brutal physicality. You could get bodied in the paint, clotheslined midair, and punished just for daring to make a play. The bad boy Pistons weren't an outlier. They were the standard-bearers of that era. And the New York Knicks under Pat Riley? They unleashed enforcers like Anthony Mason and Charles Oakley, men who weren't just physical players, but punishers. Yet through all of that, Jordan still averaged over 30 points per game. He still carried his team to glory. And he did it without flopping, without pleading with referees for help. Stephen A. isn't denying LeBron's greatness. What he's saying is that the path to dominance has changed. Today's league is finesse, built on spacing, less contact, and far more protection for stars. Jordan, on the other hand, was forged in chaos. Every single night, he had to survive ambushes in the lane just to get a bucket. And not only did he survive, he thrived. That's why Stephen A. is so passionate. If you drop today's stars into that world, how many would walk out the same? Jordan did it night after night, and every battle only made him stronger. That's why the road matters. Because the road reveals what greatness truly had to endure. And Michael Jordan endured more than any superstar who has come since.
Although Michael Jordan didn't win a title, the road that he had to travel to ultimately ascend to the point that he got to once the 90s roll around.
Stephen A. Smith draws a powerful line between the careers of LeBron James and Michael Jordan, and it's a line too many fans overlook. LeBron entered the NBA as a once-in-a-lifetime physical marvel, a freight train wrapped in muscle, speed, and grace. From day one, he was bigger, stronger, and faster than almost anyone he faced. The game itself had already shifted in his favor. Stricter rules against physical defense, softer lanes, stretched spacing from the three-point revolution, and zones that opened soft gaps instead of closing them. He had the gift of nature and the benefit of timing. But Stephen A. forces us to ask, so what? When the playing field tilts toward you the moment you step on it, how much of your greatness has truly been tested? Jordan's journey was the polar opposite. He wasn't handed anything. He had to mold his body through sheer willpower, absorb relentless punishment from teams like the bad boy Pistons who targeted him with physical violence, and fight through a league designed to test his resolve. Every drive to the rim meant risking bruises, blood, or worse. Jordan had to adapt, evolve, and develop mental strength that matched his physical growth. He didn't just play basketball, he survived it. LeBron was born with greatness in his DNA, but Jordan forged greatness in fire. That difference is what Stephen A. refuses to ignore, because being born with all the tools is not the same as creating them through struggle, and Jordan's path proves that true greatness is defined not just by talent, but by the obstacles overcome to reach it.
Jay Redick's point. I got a 19-time All-Star, 6-time League MVP, a 6-time champion in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I got LeBron ahead of him.
Stephen A. Smith is hammering this point home because too many fans refuse to accept it. The NBA that Michael Jordan conquered was a completely different league. Back then, the game was built on survival, not protection. Hand-checking was legal. Defenders could steer you with their arms, body you with no whistle, and send you crashing to the floor without fear of ejection. The paint was a war zone, not a runway. Jordan had to earn every inch through pain and punishment. Contrast that with today's NBA, where the rules are designed to protect the star, spacing opens the court, and contact is carefully regulated. LeBron James came up in that sanitized, media-friendly, offense-driven era. A league tailored for scoring, highlights, and longevity. That's not disrespect. It's reality. Stephen A. makes it clear. Stop pretending all eras are created equal, because they're not. Jordan was forged in chaos, in an unforgiving jungle, and still emerged king. LeBron's path was smoother, paved with endorsements, fanfare, and protection from the moment he arrived. Jordan's reputation had to be carved out of blood and bruises, step by step, against rules that favored his pain, not his shine. And that difference, the road each man had to travel, isn't a side note. It's the defining factor in why Jordan's greatness remains incomparable.
What the NBA was allowing, the kind of things that were going on, and I view it from that perspective, and that's why I come to the conclusion that the road was tougher for Michael Jordan.
This is where Stephen A. Smith drops the hammer. He acknowledges every beating, every loss, every heartbreak that Michael Jordan endured, and still points to the fact that Jordan rose above it all. That, he argues, is what truly makes a legend. Greatness isn't just about winning. It's about how you win. Jordan didn't cry about the rules, didn't beg for trades, and didn't jump from team to team chasing easier rings. He stood his ground, grew stronger, and turned every defeat into a lesson, and every lesson into a weapon. When he finally conquered the league, he didn't just win once. He dominated 6 times over, with no Game 7s and no outside shortcuts, just pure, unrelenting greatness. Stephen A. wants fans to see that Jordan's rise wasn't a fairy tale. It was blood, sweat, and scars, the story of a man who had every reason to fold but never did. That's why comparisons fall flat. LeBron James has had an amazing career, but his journey comes with detours, footnotes, and caveats. Jordan's path, by contrast, was a straight line of destruction, overcoming every obstacle without excuses. That, Stephen A. says, is what greatness truly looks like, and why you can't rewrite history to pretend both paths were equal. Jordan endured everything, and in rising above it, he built a legacy no amount of raw talent or modern advantages could ever duplicate.
Thousands of players in the NBA throughout history. I have one man above LeBron James, and that's Michael Jordan.
Stephen A. Smith is drawing a hard line in the sand here. No sugarcoating, no safe talk. He's saying flat out that Michael Jordan wasn't just better, he was different. He existed in a class of his own. When Stephen A. says Jordan was on another level, he's not talking about numbers or box scores. He's talking about presence. That cold-blooded, unrelenting killer instinct that made entire teams wilt before the ball even went up. LeBron James may have the resume, he may have the stats, but what he doesn't have is that aura, that mythical edge, that psychological stranglehold Jordan placed on the league. To Stephen A.
It's ignorant to not have LeBron James as the top 10 player of all time. I got him number 2 all time, okay?